Internet? Welcome to episode 4 of Super Turbocast. I'm your host, Virgil Davis. Joining me tonight, my two good friends, the new metal messiah, Justin Carter. And Ace Defective himself, Kyle Eastman.
It's turbo time.
It sure is, Kyle. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about Sonic and how great of a series that is.
Mm-hmm.
And some Sony news, some Marvel stuff, and then some other cool stuff. But first of all, how are you guys tonight?
Fantastic.
Did you not get my reference?
It was Friday the 13th. He did it 'cause it was Friday the 13th.
Yeah, today is Friday the 13th.
Isn't that the cutest thing ever that I just did?
It's very clever.
Yeah, I didn't get it actually. I'm sorry.
Well, now you do.
Now I do. I do get it.
Hopefully someone else got it.
Somebody on is like, we got it. Next, let's go to the
And it
topic.
actually is Friday the 13th too. That's what's.
Yeah, that's why he did it. It's funny.
I never would have
It's
done
funny
it.
because that's the sound played in the movie Friday the 13th.
Oh right.
When Jason shows up. Oh shit! He's here.
So yeah,
Oh, boy.
let's start with the totally not the Roper Report, but the news Roper Report. First on the list, Sonic Boom is the worst-selling Sonic title in the series history.
Of course.
Sonic Boom is the worst-performing Sonic title to date, Sega has revealed. In the company's latest holdings report, Sonic Boom, Rise of the Lyric, and Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, both amazing games, have sold through just 490,000 copies to consumers worldwide. To put this into perspective, in the year ending March 31st, 2014, Sonic Lost World managed to shift some 710,000 copies. Before that, Sonic Generations, which is an actually good game, sold 1.85 million in 2012. And Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed? That doesn't.
Yeah,
sound
it's
right. Is that
something super weird like that.
Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed, which is an awful name, pulled off 1.36 million copies worldwide.
And it was surprisingly good.
Yeah, that was the racing one, right?
Yeah, it was a Mario Kart-ish. They had one before that was okay, but then that one kind of took it that next level.
That next level.
Why do you got to be all snooty when you say Sonic Generations was actually a good game?
Sonic games suck.
I mean, it's
For the most
crazy. It's crazy that they made a good game.
Here's what's crazy about that. That game sucked so bad, and yet it still managed to move almost 500,000 units.
Which one? Oh,
The newest one.
Yeah.
Sonic? What is it? Lost Crap? What is it?
Rise of the Lyric.
Lost.
Sonic
Yeah,
Boom.
Sonic Boom.
So yeah, not looking too good for Sonic. This Sonic Boom, as I'm sure you two know, was supposed to be like their big rebranding. They have a show going along with it, a Wii U and 3DS game. Excuse me. Which combined, both the Wii U and 3DS game sold not even 500,000.
Yeah, and you got to think that's pretty much all 3DS sells.
Yeah, I can't imagine many people bought it. I mean, I'm sure there were some.
I mean, Sonic Boom or Super Mario 3D World, what are you going to buy?
Yeah.
So they had a TV show?
Yeah, there's a
developed around
TV
this?
show too.
Is it called Sonic Boom?
I think so.
Yep.
Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom.
I mean, I haven't even played the game, but you look at it and the character models look kind of wonky.
Yeah, they changed them a lot.
Is the animation going to be wonky like that too?
Yeah,
In
it's
the
the
show?
exact same character models and stuff, yeah.
In the animation, the show looks okay actually, but
Yeah, but you don't take a character like that people have known for 20, 25 years
something like that.
and change it that radically just because, he's not selling. It's like the way to do that is, and this report makes it pretty obvious, Sonic Generations was good and it sold well. Like, to me, that's 2 and 2 makes 4. Like, quit making Sonic, quit
being
annualizing it. Yeah, quit being weird, dude. Quit annualizing it and take a couple years.
Are you saying annualizing it?
Yeah,
Am I
I was
saying-
wondering what the hell you just said.
Like-
I'm drunk. I'm
like
sorry. Forgive me.
Analyzing it.
Me and the English language just don't get along. Anyways, quit releasing one every year.
They should
right?
make
quit
make
releasing
Sonic's...
them annually. You
There
jerk.
go.
But I'm pretty sure annualizing is a thing.
Yeah, no, you just said it weird.
Did I say it weird?
You did kind of.
I'm sorry,
Quit
internet.
being weird, dude.
I'm lost
I think
now.
they should make Sonic's Creed every year.
Sonic's Creed.
Sonic's Creed.
Yeah.
Call of Sonic.
Call of
He
Sonic.
just has the homing hidden blade.
and just rings. come out. So yeah, I mean, not to hate on Sonic, but I feel like Sonic is probably one of the most overrated series in gaming history.
I agree.
How tall do you think Sonic is traditionally?
I think he's a good Dude, now in Sonic Boom, he's actually really tall, which is weird.
He's like 800 feet tall.
800 feet.
I mean, yeah, like what's Sonic from Sonic 1?
I would say like 4'2".
4'2"?
4'2", that
That's-
exact.
4'2".
All right, well, exact measurements for Sonic Boom Sonic. What do you think?
6'5" at least.
You think he doubled?
He's pretty tall, yeah.
Okay.
Well, mate, I don't know.
Dude, he's like so tall and goofy looking. I just feel like he should come on the scene just dragging his knuckles on the ground. It's ridiculous.
His knuckles?
Yeah, because they just got to fight.
Which, by the way, they rebranded him, and he's like really dumb now, apparently, or
Yeah,
something. I don't know
He's
why
like the
people.
big meathead.
Yeah,
Knuckles.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's
I don't
got
even
back
know
from
why
leg
people.
day.
Knuckles was rad. I mean, one thing about
Well, he kind of had like the attitude. You know what I mean? He's kind of the bad boy of the group, but now they kind of made him just the dumb
He's
ogre.
dumb. Yeah.
He'd punch you.
By the way, I meant to say earlier but forgot, if this is your first time listening, Super Turbocast is a weekly show wherein we talk games from the past, present, and future. That can be retro stuff. That can be,
That's what we
present
just
stuff.
did.
That is,
Yeah,
yeah.
we talked about Sonic 1, and now we're all the
Right.
way to 2015 with
Yep.
Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom. You go you started from the bottom, and now you're here to the top with Sonic Boom, the
That sounds
pinnacle.
like a lyric.
No, I pulled that right up right now.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not a...
original completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the Sonic thing though, man. I truly do feel like Sonic is one of those characters I've always wanted the games to be good, but it's one of those things that bridge has been burned for me. It's like the last Sonic game I remember like playing and enjoying was Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. And Sonic Generations again. I outside of that, which that means that since what 2001 ish, whenever Sonic Adventure 2 came out on Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That there's been one good Sonic game, that's pathetic. I mean, you had 15 years.
I could honestly have a whole podcast over why Sonic sucks. And I'm sorry to all you Sonic fans out there, but your game sucks and your series sucks.
As a whole, that series sucks.
yeah.
I don't think Sonic sucks.
I think if you take a percentage of how many games suck and how many are good, it's an abysmal score.
JC, I want you to give me your case. Give me your case for Sonic.
Lay it on us.
Well, I was a Sega kid. Like
Oh,
that,
well,
that's-
there's the
there
issue
we go.
right
Anyway,
there.
next.
Well, next topic.
Oh,
Moving on.
boy. Hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. The music in Sonic is actually
Composed by Michael Jackson.
it's underrated.
I think the music in Sonic is fine. I have no complaints against it, outside of the ones in the good games like Sonic Adventure where they go like all like metal. It's
Yeah.
really awkward.
I think did I tell you about that? That MJ composed like
Yeah.
Sonic 3 or something like
Hey,
that.
he totally did.
Sonic 3 is awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sonic 3, I mean, okay, granted, I haven't played every Sonic game that's come out.
Oh, there's
one
your
of those
problem.
fair
If you
weather
played all
fans.
those,
And
yeah.
there are mediocre games in the Sonic
Mediocre?
franchise.
There's also abysmal games in Sonic franchise, such as Sonic Boom.
Man, you want to just let him talk?
Dude,
Or?
you need to step off.
I'm very passionate about hating Sonic. Sorry.
You got some passionate hatred going on in
You
here.
are.
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on.
Sonic 1, a really hard game, especially at the time, at the age that I was. But
That game blows dogs for quarters. I mean, I'm being serious with you right now.
Sonic 1's kind of rough. I mean, but it was cool for what it was. Sonic was a cool character. He always has been a cool-looking character. Sonic 2, much improved. It made Sonic 1 obsolete.
Yeah,
which
because those
we-
water levels were just super
what
rad.
we talked about before is that a good sequel makes the first game obsolete, which is what Sonic 2 did, and it's the one that people hold, very highly.
Yeah.
In that series, and then Sonic 3 comes out, and Sonic 3 is a legitimately good game. I mean, I'll defend that. I don't know. And Sonic and Knuckles, what are you doing?
You're good.
I will definitely give you Sonic 2 and 3 at least. I'll give you those. They're good. Sonic 1 is trash, especially after you've played the other ones, which, like you said, that does make a good sequel, making it to where the first one is unplayable at that point. But Sonic 2, there were some stages where I just felt straight cheated. It's like, this isn't good stage design. This is just a gimmick that you're trying to shove down my throat.
Here's the thing about Sonic. And I know JC owns the book, and I own the book, and you all need to read the book, but also Kyle, you need to read the book, Console Wars.
Yes.
It dives really, really deep into Sonic's creation and why they created him, and just you get it basically documents kind of like the business side of that the biggest console war, between the Genesis and Super Nintendo. And if anyone listening hasn't read it and they're into that kind of thing, I really recommend it because it's really, really cool. And it talks about Sonic's creation. And apparently in the book there was a Sega of Japan and Sega of America, excuse me, were very, very polarizing. Like in Japan, they sent over an image of Sonic, and I'm paraphrasing here. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like he had like a girl around his arm with like her tits out, and he had like leather on, and like was just beyond what
Beyond
what Sonic that we know was. And there
Which
was
we
like
should have got that Sonic. That probably would have been better.
clearly, and the Sega of America guys saw this and they were like,
This won't work.
that won't work here. Like maybe in Japan, that'll work, but not here. That's just not going to work. And so it's just a really interesting book, and it talks about those, like why Sonic was created and how he was made specifically. I mean, obviously, but specifically to fight Mario.
Yeah, and Sonic is a cooler character than another company that did a mascot.
You talking about Mario?
Are you talking about Crash Bandicoot? Because you better shut up if that's what you're talking
Dude, Crash
about, bro.
blows.
Crash is amazing. Crash 1 is not good.
Crash Bandicoot, anyway.
What the hell is a Crash Bandicoot?
What the hell?
Play Crash 2, play Crash 3, and then come back and talk to me.
I want to know what a Crash Bandicoot is.
He's a Bandicoot.
Those ads were unreal, though.
They were amazing.
Oh, the ad campaign was good.
Yeah.
I will give it
Dude,
that.
I'm sorry. Give me every single Crash game, and I will take those 2-1 over every single Sonic game.
Every single Crash game? Let's
Every
talk about
single-
how shitty Crash Bandicoot got.
Yeah.
Let's
Again,
talk about-
okay. So you're telling me Crash Bandicoot 1, I will give you that it's I would take it over Sonic 1 still. I still would.
Probably. I mean,
And I would damn sure take Crash 2 over Sonic 2 and Crash 3 over Sonic
I would not
3.
take Crash 3 over Sonic
Warped?
3.
You're an alcoholic, my friend.
Maybe.
So, moving on. Second item on the list: Sony and Marvel partner to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This has been longly wanted for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's finally happening, and it cost
$0.
Marvel $0, right?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where both party isn't making a killing, both parties isn't losing a whole bunch. The agreement was basically like, "Hey man, we'll let you use Spidey. We'll use Spidey. You can use our guys, and we'll kind of do that." And I know in the leaked documents, from the big hack or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. The original talk was like 60-40, something like that. That of the profits of the movies as they come out. But I think what they finally ended up deciding on is that Marvel can't make any movies or can't make any money, off of their characters being in a Spider-Man movie. But at that same time, Sony can't make anything off of Spider-Man being in a Marvel movie, which this has been needing to happen. And I think this benefits both companies. In number one, Sony's Spider-Man franchise is failing miserably because they don't know what to do with him, and they can't because that's the only character they've got. At least Fox has the entire X-Men and Fantastic Four.
I thought you were talking about Star Fox for a minute.
No, sorry. But and they did have Daredevil, but they let him go.
Yeah, you should have been more specific.
Oh, Fox movie place.
No. I mean, it's just like how you apologize, even though I'm the one who like.
right.
Fox, I thought they had me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but anyways, Sony has always kind of been in a corner because they were the first ones to outside of X-Men, X-Men and Spider-Man were the first two big superhero movies that were good that heralded the age that we're in now, and yet the X-Men continued to live on and do well in movies commercially, and Spider-Man had it's had two great movies. Well, one great movie, one good movie, and then 3 bad movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I love Andrew Garfield, he was great, but those movies themselves were just not done as well as they could have been.
I like the first one a lot.
I liked the first one. I liked the first one, but the second one was really bad.
I heard it wasn't too good.
Talking about the Garfield?
The amazing ones, yeah.
The amazing.
That aren't really amazing.
Yeah.
I just don't get why. I understand they did a reboot, but I don't know why they decided to do an origin story again.
Why did I need 45 minutes of origin story?
Yeah.
But
Man,
again,
who
I think
knows?
their choices of villains.
Shit. I mean, yeah, they mixed it up a little bit with with how it happened. No, they really didn't.
Well, but
They
I
really
loved
didn't.
like the corporate espionage kind of thing they were going for, and I love they went with the lizard in that one, and the second one you get Electro, but
The old lizard.
at the end of the day, though,
Old lizard
those
man.
performances just were not good enough. Outside of Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, which clearly have chemistry, but outside of that, it could have been so much better. And I thought Andrew Garfield was great. Is he a little too handsome to play Peter Parker? Yeah, but he's a little too handsome to play just about any
And a
role.
little too old.
Whoa.
And he is a little too old. And that's one thing that they were saying with this new Spider-Man is that they want to go with somebody older. But I'm telling you, the moment Amazing Spider-Man 2 hit theaters, Andrew Garfield was out of a job. I don't know if y'all have seen, I remember keeping up with that movie because I was really excited for it. And after the movie came out and reviews started pouring out, he had a lot of negative things to say about that movie, and Sony was not pleased about it. And the moment I heard that, that's when I knew. And then they started announcing all these weird spin-offs, and it's like, man, this is going down the toilet very, very quickly. This is a classic, clear-cut case of broth spoiled.
I think it's cool that, or more interesting rather, that didn't Marvel offer to buy
They
Spider-Man?
offered, quote, billions for Spider-Man, and Sony wouldn't take it.
And that's because Sony's smart, I think, in that respect.
Yeah.
You could sell Spider-Man and make a lot of money, but you could not and just always kind of have that,
That
pull.
trump card.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great. And the thing is, too, this benefits Marvel as much as Sony, too, because, let's face it, as great as a character as he is, we're not going to see Downey Jr. as Tony Stark for very much longer. He's done with that. He already has wanted to be done with that role. But when you're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money like he is, you're going to stay. And so my thoughts on that is that they're like, oh, crap, all these other characters are already established. We've pretty much used all of our main shots. Okay, so who's going to lead the Avengers now? Ant-Man? Paul Rudd's going to do that?
Old
He's already
Ant-Man.
Rudd.
It's a
He's
classic.
already Rudd.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He's already old.
He's
And
already
they've
Rudd.
been looking for somebody that they can take, sign into a contract, and, and again, have them lead this team because I'm sorry, as great as all those other guys are, Downey Jr. is the center of that. Why? Because he was the first one of all those Marvel Phase movies to start coming out, and he nailed it. He is Tony Stark,
And he's the best, I think, out of all of them, actor-wise.
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, dude, without question. I mean, you watch. If you don't believe me, watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That movie is phenomenal. And
Yeah.
Kiss Bang Bang.
yeah,
I think
I've
it's a
got
very
it. You
good movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of my favorites. Funny enough, it's the only movie directed by Shane Black until he did Iron Man 3.
It's got Fat Kilmer in it too.
Yeah, Fat Val Kilmer. It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But again, I think that whoever this is that fills these shoes of the new Spidey they're going to try and shoehorn, and I don't think, since it is still somewhat Sony's property, I don't think they're going to try and really push that as their head.
No,
But-
I don't think so either.
I think that'll fall on Chris Evans' lap, which I think he is an amazing Steve Rogers, and I think that kid's totally got the chops for it. But we'll see.
My biggest takeaway from all of this is that I'm happy for Marvel to get the Spider-Man license, because Spider-Man, if anybody knows anything about Marvel and the comics and everything, Spider-Man is Marvel's darling.
Yeah.
That's what made Marvel, was Spider-Man.
And to a degree, still does.
Yeah. I mean, and Spider-Man ushered in the whole superhero era of cinema.
Yeah. Well, there's just something very special about that character, and I think that's one thing that I feel like Marvel has always had on DC. It's like, I can relate to Peter Parker.
Yeah,
I can't really relate to Clark Kent. I can't really relate to Bruce Wayne.
You can't really relate to Tony Stark. It's just that Robert Downey did it so well.
Well, no,
it's
he's
like
just-
a Johnny
he's just a
Depp,
badass.
Captain Sparrow type
Yeah.
thing. Johnny Depp made that character.
Yeah.
I wanna go on a tangent real
Sure.
quick. Can we talk about the Ant-Man trailer for a minute and what your opinions on it? Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I haven't.
I think Marvel, there's nothing about that trailer that makes me want to see that movie
I'm excited
at
for it.
all. You're excited because it's a Marvel movie.
To a degree I am, and I know I followed the character not as much as I wish I had, but
Nobody did, dude.
right,
it's
it's
Nobody
Ant-Man.
did.
But I'm telling you, I'm looking through that with the same pair of goggles I looked at Guardians. I don't think it'll be as good as Guardians.
I don't know.
I don't think it'll be close to Guardians.
And that's
I think
my
it'll be a
opinion.
solid 7.5 out of 10, something like that. It's
I-
like for an offshoot character like that.
I think
I'll
it's
take it.
just that I think the fact that they can basically just take a no-name character and because they're Marvel make a movie out of it, that's good for them, But there's nothing about that trailer that made me want to see that movie.
That's exactly my takeaway from Ant-Man. My
in general.
Now, keep in mind, this is uneducated because I haven't seen any trailers for it. I haven't read up on Ant-Man. But just from pulling it out of my ass, Ant-Man is the bastard child of Guardians of the Galaxy's success. Nobody knew what Guardians
Well, pretty
was.
much Phase 3 in general is like that. But a lot of people don't realize, and here's what's weird about them going with Scott Lang instead of Hank Pym, is that Hank was a integral part of the Marvel Universe for a long time. So it's, to a degree, if you really look back on your comics, it's weird that we haven't really seen him or heard him mentioned yet up until this point.
Yeah. I don't know. It just there's not, and me personally, I'm excited about the Spider-Man stuff. I think that it's cool that it's finally happening. Like you said, Kyle, I think it benefits both parties a lot.
I think it's a great deal.
And it's gonna bring a ton of people.
Well, not only
in to see
it
the
benefits
movie.
every party involved. I don't feel like there's any person, consumers included, that are left in the dark in this thing.
Yeah. And
Which, by the way, another thing I wanted to mention about the benefits, Marvel, Disney Marvel still owns the rights to merchandise.
yeah, I heard about that.
So again, that's kind of one of those things. Like, yeah, I don't make anything off the movies, but look, every time one of those movies launches, like, look at all the toys from Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. It's ridiculous.
But I forget what I was gonna say now.
I'm sorry.
Let's just
Anyway.
this is a games cast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something with this headline that I'd like to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Best superhero video games.
Okay. The superhero video games.
Little curveball here.
I feel like this one's an easy one.
For sure. We're talking about Marvel so much.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I can
the
guess about
Arkham series is going
Oh.
to take the cake.
that wasn't mine at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It would be
Oh.
like if I had a top 5, it would be up there, but I don't know if I could give it number 1.
I'm super interested in what you have to say then. If you don't put Arkham as number 1.
Well, for me, you said superhero.
Yes, sir.
So for me, it's Infamous. That series.
Does
I
it have
think
to be
is-
licensed?
See, you said superhero.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
Infamous
is
for
totally
me,
a superhero.
Oh, well, then if we're talking that, it has to be Infamous.
and nothing against the Arkham games, but just Infamous nails that so well, especially the first one with those comic book cutscenes and
It's so good.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about Infamous has 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Arkham has 4.
Well, 3 out, but 1 coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
it's all right, dude.
Pretty much.
Good on you, Kyle.
Pretty much. When you said
Well, good
4,
for
I knew what you
you.
meant. But
Yeah. So we have the bastard child that is Arkham Origins,
Right.
and we have the.
which I swear to
don't-
God, Rocksteady doesn't even like to acknowledge.
Yeah, no, they hate that.
I don't even think they had a hand in it.
No,
did
they
didn't. They didn't. That's
That's
why
the
they
thing.
don't.
When they talk about Arkham Knight, they're like,
This is the end of our
they're,
trilogy.
they're talking about like, oh yeah, this is the end of the trilogy.
That's like Chris Nolan doing Batman Begins, and then The Dark Knight, and then some schmo comes in and does like.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher comes back for
Oh
another one.
God, Michael Bay.
Dude, but here's the thing though. That was a deal on WDB's part to keep interest in those Arkham games, and that was a
Yeah.
cash cow for them.
It was.
But that's the thing is, I agree with Virgil. Now, some honorable mentions: Spider-Man 2 for GameCube, PS2, original Xbox. Now, don't get me wrong. Going back and playing it now, you're like, oh crap, I gotta chase this kid's balloon down again. Fantastic. Dude, I remember my best friend, dude. He had that game, pardon me, for GameCube, and got it around launch time. I remember going over his house, and it was like, you can swing anywhere in the city and go do stuff. Like, it was amazing, and it's a super solid game. The other one I will mention, and I actually talked to Teef about it the other day, and he was laughing because he thought I was joking. The X-Men Origins Wolverine game for PS3 and 360.
Isn't there like an edited and unedited version? Unedited.
It's probably an
version of that?
Australian version, as far as I know. But no, the one that we got was rated mature.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bloody, guts. I mean, it was. Now the story sucked. I mean, I'll give it that. But as far as the gameplay and stuff goes, dude, it was fun. And again, it was exactly what I wanted out of a Wolverine movie. It was, I mean, just bloody. I mean, like
Wolverine game.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean to tell me? What did I say?
You said
Movie.
movie.
Did I say movie? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys.
You're drunk.
I suck. But no, like you watch the movies. This is what I was trying to say, I guess, when I said movies. You watch the movies, like his claws go into somebody, and it's just like nothing happens. It's like in the game, did you come across a dude and like it'll decapitate him, blood squirts out, and you're like, man, this is awesome. Like I really, that was kind of a.
For me, so if we're picking like single game, probably like the original Infamous. I know a lot of people really like 2 more than 1, and
2's gameplay was better, but
It was.
1's presentation.
I
and
feel like
story
1's
was
atmosphere and just
not only that, but 1 had
everything.
like the twist.
that
You know,
twist
again,
was
don't want
awesome.
to
Yeah.
spoil it because you guys should totally play it, but
Yeah.
if you haven't already. But man, it was just like you could tell they legitimately tried at every part of that game.
I
and made it
just
so
I
good.
it just came back to me like my initial reaction to that twist, dude, was it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that was my first, and I told Kyle this, and he thought it was kind of weird. That was my first PS3 game that I ever played. That was my first
Wow, that's a great one.
my
to
first
start
like
with.
next gen at the time. I went from my 64 to my Wii
God,
to PS3.
that's a shock.
I never had a PS2. I had a GameCube, and I had one game for the GameCube for its entire lifespan, and that was Die Hard Vendetta. And I played the
That's
shit
kind of, you know,
out of
John
Die Hard.
McClane's kind of a superhero.
Dude, John McClane, bro. I could gush about some John McClane. Never seen a single Die Hard movie in my life,
What?
but I love that game to death.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It hurt my feelings.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So, moving-
The reason why I'm a Sega kid, you know, I defended Sonic, but the reason why I am a Sega kid is because of X-Men. There was an X-Men game that was exclusive to Sega Genesis,
yeah.
and I found the quickest way to get rid of my Super Nintendo to get
You
that
poor
X-Men
soul.
game.
For that great X-Men game.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Who made it? LJN?
Dude, I don't even remember who made it. That's how forgettable it
Right.
was.
I'm going to look that up because if it's
So-
LJN, I'm going to
So,
laugh.
what was yours? Was it Asylum?
My favorite superhero game?
Because Asylum was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I like City better. But
I haven't played City yet.
City's amazing.
For me, oh gosh, superhero games. You know, since we're considering Infamous is up there. Arkham City is superb. Another one that I really, really enjoyed, and I feel like it's one of the biggest sleeper hits on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, is Spider-Man Web of Shadows. That game is really good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Kind of an open worldish type deal. I would forget what I was doing because I was too busy slinging around New York City looking for the little Spider-Man icons to collect.
Yeah,
It's just
that's a
so
game
fun.
that I played a ton of, and I really enjoyed it. Man, it had the good, good versus evil type thing, which it came out shortly after Infamous, did it not?
Yeah,
And I felt like it kind of played up on that a little bit, but man, I remember when I was living in Denton, I played it quite a bit and thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, I have a large portion of those trophies.
That's cool.
Oh,
I
wait,
haven't
is
played
that
it. It's one that I need to get to and will eventually, but I think those were some pretty good superhero games. And that was a good little segue or little mini topic there. I liked it.
for sure.
It was nice.
Thank you.
All about them games.
That's the second time. Moving on. Moving on to to topic number 3 or to news item number 3, however you want to say it. After almost 8 years, Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty, hosts of Podcast Beyond, have recorded their last episode of Podcast Beyond, episode 381.
Rest in peace.
And I just want, yeah, that might not be news to some of you, but to me it is, and to me it's a big deal, and I just want to talk about it for a little bit. I've been listening to these guys. I haven't been here, or I hadn't been with them since the beginning, of course. I feel like a few people are, but I've been listening to them for a good 3 or 4 years probably, and they talked about it in the last episode, but it really did become more than just a podcast. It became a community. And when you listen to 2 to 4 people talk to each other weekly, you feel like, you're in that room too, and you feel like you're a part of that conversation. And the fact that it's over, Marty and Max and, whoever the 2 other ever rotating people will be, I'm sure will make something great out of the new Beyond. But it especially watching the video, it was really hard to see Greg and Colin both, get teary-eyed and more than that, just flat out bawl at points. And it really got to me because those 2 mean a lot to me. And when Greg at the end, talked about how he inspired some people, like they're the reason that I'm doing this, and that I started this, and that I wanted to do this is because I saw those guys do it, and I'm like, I could do that. That's what I want to do with my life. If I know that I want to do something like that for my career, and I like that's all I want. That's all
Right.
I want to do. So I just wanted to talk about them for a minute, just how much they mean to me. And
Yeah, man. Oh, go ahead, JC. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Virgil. That's exactly why we're here. Well, I mean, first and foremost, we all have a passion for video games here at this table. It's inspiring to see other people who are just as passionate about it and want to talk about it on and on and on. The first time I watched it, it was really heartbreaking. I've been listening to Beyond for about, honestly, maybe close to a year. I mean, really, really fresh to it. But as soon as I caught on to it, I immediately went back and started watching back episodes. So I feel like I've been with these guys longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's why
I did that recently too. Actually, I went back and like listened to when just I'm telling you, dude, like the Greg, Colin, Andrew, and Ryan Clements, that cast, man, that was like one of the best. When those four were on the main, when they were the hosts, it's one of the best podcasts of all time, in my opinion. Like that, they just had this chemistry, this something about them that
It was special.
Yeah, definitely.
And I went back recently and did that too, where I went back and like listened to some, and just listening to those again, it's like, man, they just, you compare it to not that the recent episodes were bad, but it's like, Marty's fine, and the ever rotating third chair was nice, and I really liked it when like Jared Petty was on there. He's a really cool guy, and but it just wasn't the same, and those times were really special. But yeah, they have so many, like they have so much content to go back to.
Well, it's almost 8 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane, man.
Well, see, for me, I haven't listened to a whole lot of podcasts beyond. I've been keeping up with it for about 6 months now, or trying to, but I have kept up with Greg and Colin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been getting on IGN since 2002, 2003, I think, something like that. And so there are a lot of games that are some of my favorite games of all time that without those two, I would have never played. I would have never touched Catherine. I would have never touched the Persona games. I would have never touched Uncharted. It's like, oh my God.
I wouldn't own a Vita.
Yeah.
Those guys single-handedly, and they talk about all the time, like, they are the single biggest voices and, champions, I guess you could say, for the Vita in the industry. There's no one else who's as vocal in support for the Vita as them.
It's a great system.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. It's mind-boggling after you play it and you play these AAA titles, and I don't want to get into console war debates, but it's I would say as far as a all around quote composite score, it's just as good as the 3DS as far as pros versus cons. And technologically speaking, it's a way better console.
Yeah,
than the 3DS.
It's light years ahead.
It definitely is.
And no, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't bought a Vita or at least tried one out, you really owe yourself to try one. They're totally right in that regard. The Vita, for me, one of my first experience with it, I'm more impressed with the Vita than I ever was with the PS3, and for the most part, the PS4.
Yeah,
in a way, the Vita is a very impressive piece of tech.
Yeah, it's a little engine that could, man, and especially if you're a JRPG fan, there's no reason why you don't own that system.
That I'll specifically say. I can understand if maybe if you're into just Western titles, there'll be games there for you, but it'll be kind of hard to recommend a Vita to you over something else. Right. But if you were into Japan and that culture and their games, there's no good reason you shouldn't have a Vita.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I think the people that are into that have already got one.
Yeah.
I
agree.
But yeah, no, if you're a first-person shooter fan and all that jazz, I'm sorry, it's not the system for you. But if you're wanting good,
but then really, like if you're into just those things, no, really, like handheld is for you,
right?
Which is what the Vita was kind of supposed to be, this console experience.
Yeah, initially, but then you had the first handheld dual stick shooters that played well, but they just flopped because the story sucked and the online just wasn't quite there. Oh great, we're gonna hop on 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 online.
Killzone was supposed to be cool. That's
Killzone
one that I
apparently
always
is great.
wanted to go
I have
to.
not got
and it's supposed to look amazing. Like it runs on Killzone 3's engine.
Oh wow.
Yeah, granted, it's not the exact same, but it's some form of Killzone 3's engine.
Man, Killzone 3 is gorgeous.
Yeah, like how crazy is that?
To me, Killzone's one of those games that has always looked beautiful. It's like that. It's
And
like
played
that
like
one person
ass.
that you see and you're like, oh man, they look really cool, and you start hanging out with them. And you're like, oh God, get away from me, please. I can't stay. I've tried and tried and tried to play. I bought Killzone Shadowfall with my PS4, and I plugged it in. I was like, oh my God, this is
Looks-
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And after about the third or fourth stage, when that damn train run me over, about the sixth time, I was done.
I never see. I played 2, and I made it a good way the like good chunk of the way through it, and I liked the atmosphere. I liked the art design of it, but
Mhm.
I could not stand those tanky controls. That heavy.
Well, there's just something about that game that it just doesn't have. And I don't understand how, or why Sony keeps trying to push that series. People just aren't. People have bought Killzone because there's nothing else to buy.
Yeah.
If they would have gave Resistance that much TLC, oh my gosh, dude, Resistance is 3 times the game that Killzone has ever thought about being.
Yeah.
Even Resistance 2.
That's another, and I think that, and I don't know if I mentioned it on the last or the episode before last. Actually, that's a remaster I'd like to see, so I could get to those.
I think we mentioned that. I don't
Probably.
remember.
I can't.
But yeah,
remember.
I would love to see that remastered, especially one with modern controls.
Mhm.
Because going back and trying to play one control-wise
They're a little hard.
is a little tough. Like it's L2 to crouch, you click in the right
Ooh.
thumbstick to zoom in, but you don't really have to zoom in. It's like Halo. There is
yeah.
no you don't really need iron sights. In
Call of Duty. I mean, say what you will about it, but
they reinvented the first-person shooter.
They really did. And we got kind of off on a tangent there, but I just wanted to just take a minute, and just talk about them and just say how much I appreciate everything that they've done for me, and I've been listening to them for years, and they've gotten me through some stuff, and just they really, they've, especially Greg gets a lot of hate, and I feel like it's just a lot of superficial, like, just you see him on IGN in a video or something, and I hate that guy,
Well,
But
he's
when
also
you-
you see him a lot more often.
Yeah.
But
I feel like when
Be a more genuine guy than Greg. I mean, I never met him, but you can just tell that.
JC was muted. Sorry
Oh,
guys, he
there we
was
go.
trying to talk.
JC, yeah.
Whoops.
There you go.
He's back.
Hello. Greg Miller he seems like one of the nicest, most genuine people.
Yeah, I
Walking
mean, especially
planet Earth.
when you listen to Beyond or you watch some of their kind of funny stuff, like you get that personal, like intimate,
It's like, what do these people
Thing.
that don't like him want to be? They just want to be around assholes all the time? Because
I don't know, man.
Well, it's like
it's so strange
to me with like dealing with like seeing Greg and stuff do that. It's almost like the difference between going into a store and dealing with the owner and dealing with just somebody who's there, works part-time, and doesn't care about it. You know what I mean? You can genuinely tell, like, oh man, this guy is passionate about this and he legitimately cares and wants this thing to succeed and will do what it takes.
yeah,
You know?
I mean, like, tell me when we watched that, we just because we just rewatched it, or a little bit of the last episode, and Kyle, tell me when you saw Greg just let it all out. That, I mean, to me,
And it was tough. It was tough to watch. Dude.
watching that last bit alone in my room, that last bit where he like addresses, one-on-one, I've never had a moment like that while watching a video in my life. I was bawling, and I've never felt connected to a person through a video like that.
And that's the thing. Like with me, is there was a point where I was sitting there and I was like, man, he's talking to me.
Yeah, like
You know. And that
he's
guy
so
he's so
genuine.
good, and that's what makes him so good. Is he's so genuine about it. People can see through bullshit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and he's not a bullshitter. I feel.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
He's anyway. Not to. I just love those guys, and like I said, they mean a lot to me and
Well, they mean, like I said, a lot of my great gaming
Mean a lot to
experiences
us,
are thanked
to everyone.
is thanked in part to them.
Greg and Colin and the ever rotating third chair are the reason why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what Beyond is, you owe it to yourself to go to IGN and check out older from 381 down,
Just yeah.
and check out the work that they've done and the words that they say, especially in these last few weeks. They were talking about how, if you want to do this, you just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing right now. So if you like what we're doing, then that's the inspiration right there. Those gentlemen right there is why we are here right now.
Yeah. Well, it's hard in this day and age because it's so much easier to sit in front of a computer and watch somebody do it than to just grab yourself up and go, you know what? I'm
I
going to
wanna
go do that.
this.
Why do you think people look back and like, oh man, that World War II generation, granted they did some really screwed up stuff, but they also did some amazing things. Why? Because they got off their asses, they went and did it. There's been a lot of people like that over the years, but It is. It's one of those things. It doesn't even have to be something like this. If there's something that you want
That's
to
what spoke to me
go do
about Greg's thing in last bit of it is he wasn't even talking about just gaming, but just in general, like, you know, follow, like, if you have a dream, do it. You know, do everything in your power to get there and do it. And I just think they're just, I don't know. I don't want to get all emotional or anything. So.
Right. Topic 4.
Topic number 4. And
Love you, Greg and Colin.
Yeah, Beyond. Which, by the way, a quick aside, those guys have forever not really ruined, but changed the word Beyond to me. I cannot hear a person in class, like if I'm in one of my classes or anything, and a teacher says Beyond, I have this impulse to say or yell Beyond.
Dude, let's start a petition on change.org to where Webster's Dictionary, the definition of Beyond is a PlayStation podcast hosted by Mr. Greg Miller.
The number one PlayStation podcast
on the internet.
Excuse me.
But yeah.
Kudos, guys. Good luck.
Yeah,
for real. And you know, I think they're gonna do great. Like,
oh yeah, they ain't gonna have
something Colin said that really spoke to me, and I think was really to the point of why they did this. Before, you know, if Colin wrote a piece on IGN or Greg did a video or what have you, they would reach millions of people because IGN is the biggest gaming site on the internet.
Yeah.
And what they really did and what Colin was saying about it is they traded reach for intimacy. So now they went from like millions of people seeing their stuff to their right now 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's less, but it's the biggest group, the hardest of hardcore fans that are sticking with them and supporting them on Patreon. And the way they're doing their Patreon is just genius. Like the way they've made it like a subscription service to where, yeah, if you want to pay $1 a month or however much, you get, you know, an extra episode of this, or you get something earlier, you get this perk or that perk, you know, and you don't have to. Nothing they do, you know, is exclusive to Patreon forever. You can get everything free, but it's for the super hardcore that really want to support them. You know, they have the option to do that, and I think that's cool that they were willing to kind of take that leap and trade that reach for intimacy, because I think intimacy is really really important, especially in the age of the internet we're in, when, you know, you can have millions of subscribers. You know, that's not really anything special these days.
Right.
But intimacy with your fans, I feel like is special, you know. And
yeah, I totally agree.
Well, and that's something too that clearly we've taken inspiration from this, and it's something that we want from you guys too. We want to connect with you guys. We want to hear your feedback. You know, we want you guys to support us so that we can grow this and make this bigger, make it into something special that we can connect with you. You guys can connect with us. You know, we can help y'all through stuff. Y'all can help us through stuff. It's going to be great, and we've got a long road ahead of us.
Like, I don't care, to the 4 people listening to this, you know, comment, you know, say what you liked about the show, do it. Like, I would love interaction, you know, and
yeah, absolutely.
In any capacity.
Yeah,
like,
get involved with it. I mean, it's just us 3 here talking about video games. I want to talk with you guys about video games as well.
Yeah.
We all love this. We're all in this together. So yeah, leave that feedback. You know,
for sure.
Talk to us. We're more than willing to gush.
Throw us a tweet at Super Turbo.
Throw them tweets.
It's okay. Video games are cool now. They're not
Is that the Twitter
geeky
handle?
like when I first started gaming.
What is the Twitter handle again, Virgil?
Is
it at Super Turbo?
It's at Super Turbo Games.
At Super Turbo Games
is our Twitter
Pardon
account.
Me, guys.
We got 5 followers, so.
Yep, hit us up.
Moving on up
to the top.
Topic number 4, and this is a big one.
We finally.
I'm sorry. This is huge, and I know that you guys might not have as much in this as I do.
No, I totally there.
But
what
number
is the
4,
topic?
Bethesda.
Lay it on me, Bo.
Bethesda is hosting its first ever E3 conference in 2015. Bethesda has confirmed it will host its first ever E3 conference at the Los Angeles Convention on June 14th. Details about what to expect from the showcase are thin on the ground, but as it's the first time the studio has ever decided it was worth holding a conference, speculation is already rife on what may be revealed.
Well, I mean, come on now. Fallout 4?
Yeah.
That's it has to happen, especially with all the stuff that they've been. I don't know. Has that been leaked or is that teased or what?
That's what's, man. Bethesda, they are iron tight.
Yeah, which
Like,
is
they are
great.
sealed.
More
Like,
studios
they-
should be like that.
For real. They there's really nothing about Fallout 4. There was like some rumor about Boston or something,
Right.
but it was just a rumor. There was no like.
Well, I remember seeing something about
Nothing
like
to
had like
it.
a document that was just like one piece of like little concept art,
Yeah.
and that's been a while back. But dude, tell me, and if this works this way and this is successful this way, it would be amazing. And I hope more people do it this way. But how killer would it be is if E3, Bethesda's there, and they show off, you got to show two things. First thing you show, boom, here's the new Elder Scrolls 6, Dragon Scale Cliff. I don't care what you call it. Coming
The old dragon scale.
coming
cliff.
next year, next Christmas. You got a year and a half to wait for it. And then boom, here's the trailer. Here's Fallout 4 coming this fall, this winter, whatever. And I mean, that game had to be in development for a while. I mean, yeah, they did Elder Scrolls Online, but outside of that, Skyrim 2011?
And I assume they may have even had different teams, working on.
They have
But like as soon as New Vegas came out, there had to be some team, in some form, working on Fallout 4. Like.
But that was a different company altogether because Obsidian.
Oh yeah,
did
that's
that.
right, Obsidian. So I
Yeah.
guess really since Fallout 3, they had to have. They've had to have someone work, some small group at least working on.
Maybe, but then again, like maybe they have like their main team doing their big thing, and they have a small team kind of doing R&D type stuff. But
Yeah.
let's see, the gap between Fallout 3 and Skyrim is only 2 years, right? Fallout 3 launched in what, 08, 09?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Something roundabouts in that, and then we got Skyrim in 2011.
Yep.
Am I right there?
11.
I'll double check. I'll
Really?
double check Fallout
Yep.
3, but
How cute.
yeah, that was.
I remember that date for another reason, but I don't want to say it on this podcast because it's kind of.
It's kind of what?
Yeah, it was released in October of 08. So
So 3 years.
that's 3 years, basically, in between. So it's like, okay, 11, 3 more years, that puts you at 14. So, I mean, that's, it's time.
It is.
It's definitely time.
It is turbo time for sure for Fallout 4. But yeah, with Fallout 4, I think like how cool would it be if like imagine if Sony or God forbid Microsoft, nothing against Microsoft, but that would suck, got like exclusivity to Fallout 4.
I don't think that would happen.
I don't either.
No.
I
I don't either. But
If anything, PC would. You'd think.
Oh, God.
no.
Isn't that where Fallout originated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but as far as like how like Fallout, as far as like the Fallout that Bethesda, you can't see it right now, but something's wrong with JC's face. I don't know what's going on, but
He's contorted.
as far as like Fallout as Bethesda has known it, it's been a heavily like console thing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You would say that would never happen. Street Fighter 5 is
yeah, how crazy is that?
yeah.
And
Street
how-
Fighter 5
how crazy is it- is
exclusive
that
consoles
Tekken-
PS4?
Tekken is multi-platform now, and Street
Yeah.
Fighter is
How weird is
PlayStation
that?
exclusive. That is
That's Sony going all in.
Yeah, for sure.
For a niche audience of people.
Yeah.
Because the FGC, the fighting game community, I know that a lot of them predominantly play Street Fighter on 360.
Oh yeah.
So that's like Sony getting some big balls and being like,
we're going straight for this community.
It's them selling PS4s to people
Yeah.
who may not even have
yeah,
them.
they're going for the throat on that one.
Yeah.
Because
And so
I mean,
that-
it's a smaller audience, but it is an audience.
That's what I'm
So-
saying too. Like, we say that could never happen, but I mean, what if they did do a PS4 PC thing again with Fallout 4? Like, how crazy would
That'd
that
be
be?
nuts.
That and I'm not trying to have any kind of console war here, but I feel like that it would be over.
Yeah.
Like, what on earth could
Yeah.
Microsoft
There's a
do?
huge install base for Fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And those are fans that just don't care.
So-
you could put it on a Leapfrog and they would go and buy those.
Dude, it's an awesome. Like, it's an amazing series. It really is. And
yeah, it's
super
very special. Jinx spoke to
Um,
Coke.
Oh yeah.
You run to the fridge real quick and grab me one?
Yeah, sure.
A Coke. There's
Um,
literally a Coke in the fridge. Go
so
get it.
here's what I wonder. I think I'm a bet right now that they announce something no one has ever heard of.
A new IP?
Something new. Something. I mean,
think it'd be great.
It might not even be a new IP. Maybe a new entry into something that you would have never like. I just feel like there has to be something new as well because. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I never remember Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls game and Fallout like coming out around the same time. I feel like it was always in like
it's always
rotation.
at least they flip flop back and forth.
They call
So
it
I feel
idiot.
I feel like announcing Fallout 4 and an Elder Scrolls game would be weird. You know,
It'd be strange, and that's why I said if they did do that, the Elder Scrolls or Fallout, whichever one is not coming first,
Yeah.
be at least a year and a half, 2 years away. You know,
What
be at least
what
that
else
long.
has Bethesda done?
Well, they've produced and published quite a bit, but as far as developed, Elder Scrolls
really,
and
Elder
Fallout.
Scrolls is their bread and butter.
I mean, I feel like that came out from me as like, what have you done for me lately? That's not what I meant. I
Right.
what
mean,
have they even done? And that's what, when you think about it, Bethesda.
Like, how busy could you possibly be?
yeah, you have
But
two of
those
the
games
you have
are
two of the hugest
huge.
franchises. I mean, I'm not trying to demean them at all. I'm just curious. Like, I'm literally asking. Like,
Virgil
those
made a good point though. Those games are huge.
And
Yeah.
the amount of time and energy that go into those games is more than I can even imagine, you know. I mean, think about GTA 5 and how long that took to come out.
yeah,
And think
Yeah.
of how huge, like literally huge that game is
It's absurd.
in scope and
Yeah.
detail. And I mean, a next gen Fallout or a new gen, you know, whatever you want to call it, that's got to be
Well, that's the
Even
thing too is
crazier.
that you have to think too, especially with them pushing those on consoles. Because I mean, you can thank Merwin for that. Merwin did great on the original Xbox. You know, you think, what could they truly do when they're not limited by hardware? You know, because the PS4 and Xbox One is much closer to PC hardware. We've talked about it a lot. And people will say, oh, well, the graphics aren't a whole lot better on next gen. And, you know, I'll give you that to a degree. But the flip side is because the processing power is that much better, it's not even necessarily a bump up in graphics. It's a bump up in scope. These consoles are capable of building much larger worlds. That as much has already been proven.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you think it'd have to be Fallout because that's what's due up
Right.
For sure, yeah,
from,
for
the-
sure.
from them.
The
But
fact that they're just doing a conference is
Well, and not only that,
unheard, is literally unheard of.
they've
you know?
done
Yeah.
Skyrim and they've already done Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah,
You know-
I haven't played a lot of Fallout actually, but I know I am keen to people who love that series. You know, I mean, I can see where the appeal is. You almost think it has to be Fallout because what if they release a new IP and there's this big sigh like, oh,
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
something
they
that
don't want that to happen. They don't want to pull a Square Enix.
I was just about to say that's something that's crossed my mind is, and I think unlike Square, who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, I think Bethesda is totally in tune. And I think they totally get
They're
it.
on top of it.
There's no way that they would announce, oh, hey, we're doing a conference for the first time ever, and not say a word about Fallout 4. You know, that's just
yeah.
At
That's-
least a teaser trailer or something.
Will it even be
something.
Fallout 4? Will it be Fallout New Vegas?
2, the sequel.
Dose?
yeah, that'd be imagine if it's some like Fallout blank. You know, I feel like it has to be
Fallout
Fallout
3.5
4.
HD remix.
That's what I want.
That's what it is. We're actually getting HD.
That's
remake.
all it is Fallout 3 in New Vegas coming to new gen consoles.
We're just screwing around right now. We know nothing.
Fuck you guys,
about-
just buy the games
We
again.
haven't talked to any Bethesda people.
But back to what I said about Fallout and Elder Scrolls, I feel like any good tent stands up on at least 3 legs. So I mean, why would you announce, hey, we're doing this thing, and you're just going to announce 1 or 2 games? There's got to be, and I'm sure they'll probably announce some stuff that they're publishing.
Do tents?
I mean, I'm talking, you know,
You talking about
their
like
tripod, I guess. I don't know.
don't tents usually have like 4 points?
Well, I mean, no, I'm talking about the little.
You talking about like a teepee?
Like a teepee, I guess.
Okay.
Either way,
well,
it
that's
can
not a
stand on.
tent.
it
Yeah,
can
that ain't no tent.
Well, boy, it'll stand a lot better on 3 legs than it would on 2. All
That's a good
what I'm
point.
saying.
On 2, you just got like a little shitty.
You got a weird stilt thing going on.
You know what? You can make. Never mind. I'm not gonna go into tent physics.
Quiet down, fish. Yeah, you could cross them. All right.
Wow.
So, anyways, but what I mean though is you're gonna do your first conference. You got to hit it big. You can't run in there and just say, "Oh, here's game A, here's game B. We're done. Thanks for coming out." Now, again, like I said, I'm sure they're probably gonna have some stuff that they're gonna be publishing. You know, because Bethesda does publish some stuff. They published some crap too, sadly.
You kidding
But,
me? I mean,
Hunted,
What crap?
the Demon Forge or whatever.
Oh, Hunted.
can we-
Remastered.
who can forget Brink?
Please be excited.
Yeah, Brink.
Brink was incredible. I mean, one of the most.
One of the most blatant TF2 ripoffs I've ever seen.
I was gonna go on some tangent about how
Yeah,
amazing
that's
the game
awesome.
is.
They published The Evil Within as well, right?
They
They
sure
did.
did.
Yeah, Tango Softworks developed
Yep,
it.
I think so. Could be completely wrong
I'm a
about
giant
that. That
wuss.
sounds right.
I got to chapter 2 of that game.
Oh, that game,
and
man.
couldn't
That's a
handle it.
scary game.
But see, that's what I'm saying is, they'll probably feature some games like that, but you have to have, okay, here's what we're doing. They've got to have a lot of stuff loaded in the barrel of a gun for this thing to fire off.
It has to be Fallout related.
Yeah,
It has to be Fallout. There may or may not be, I'm saying yes, no, and maybe so, but definitely Fallout. Maybe Elder Scrolls.
Oh shit!
And
Fallout Collection remastered.
I would love that.
That'd be awesome. And that's the thing is, how amazing would it be if they said, okay, guys, here's the new Fallout game, and guess what? Fallout 3 and New Vegas are coming to next gen in a collection for $40 with all the DLC for both of them.
That seems to be the trend.
Yeah, that's the trend. Hey, and dude, I'm telling you, I cannot.
Give me them all.
In my line of work,
I want them all.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how many copies that thing would do. And not only that, here's a teaser trailer for the next Elder Scrolls that we're working on. It's coming out in a couple years. And while you wait, here is Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim HD collections. It would be absolutely
no.
ridiculous.
Morrowind would not fucking work. They would have to.
Morrowind.
Well, here's the thing about Morrowind.
It's a big.
They would
what
have
if.
to remake that shit because that shit would not age.
Oh,
well.
it wouldn't age well. No, but Oblivion and Skyrim at least.
And even
HD
Oblivion, I will. Oh my god, I would kill a man to go back and play Oblivion with trophies.
Oh,
Right.
Rage Against the Machine?
I would. Yes, that game, man. I mean, I know you go back, and Oblivion, of course, is kind of crappy in a lot of ways. I mean, granted, it's still amazing, but
Yeah, but
that was the
time
first.
it was great. But
Yeah,
it shows its age.
There are, I think, 6 voice actors in the game. There for each species. There's a male voice actor and a female voice actor. That's it. It's fucking amazing. But that was the first time I ever felt immersed in a game.
Right.
Like that. There was a time, and granted, that was probably probably like the second. And that's what I hate. I wish I had trophies because I could see when I played Oblivion. But I think that was like the second or third PS3 game I got, in 2009 when I was 15.
Well, here's what's
And
crazy.
so, like,
oh, sorry.
no, you're
please.
fine.
No. Please go ahead.
That game, Oblivion specifically, like I just remember being so immersed in it. And specifically, there was some side quest where I would go to an inn. I think it was like the Roxanne or Rose or something like that. And this lady wanted me to go up to like a mountain to kill someone or something. And that quest specifically stuck with me. It's like that was the first time I realized. Like I guess I kind of like took a step back and I was like, I feel like I'm a part of this world. I feel like I'm actually doing this. I feel like I'm actually a part of this.
Climbing this mountain to murder someone.
Well, no. I feel
because
like
I didn't have trophies.
I felt like it was a real world that that
Whether or not you were there or not, things were still going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, see, that's like Story. His first game on next gen back then was Fallout 3.
Oh man,
that was his first experience on a PlayStation 3.
Just like
What a
Virgil and
game.
Infamous. That's a great way to
Yeah.
start. I mean,
Yeah, I got mine launch window, so I mean Resistance 1, which was amazing at the time. It and Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but it was a old gen port.
man,
was-
Fallout 3, man. That's a
Yeah.
game. If they do an HD collection, jump on that
Yeah.
because those games are really amazing.
that just shows you how good of a developer Bethesda is. Like,
Well-
you talked about the voice acting and how lagging it is in Oblivion,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still immersed in the
Yeah,
game.
and that's the thing for the time. That game came out. I want to say like 2007, maybe.
Because it was on.
It's
I
old
believe
as-
it would have been 06.
could have even been 06.
Because it was a.
I
pretty
bet it
early-
was, and then it was ported to PS3.
Yeah, it
probably
was.
in
It was a
07.
late port to PS3
Yeah.
because 360 had it first.
So for 2006, that for sure was amazing at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember Skyrim when Skyrim came out, and they were like, oh, there were over 100 voice actors. I thought, oh my god, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, March 06 for Windows and 360,
Yep.
and then it came out in May. Oh, pardon me. The PS3 version didn't ship until March 07. It took a whole year,
Yeah,
which Bethesda has a
dude, those
relationship
early years
of
with the
having a-
PS3 were rough.
Yeah, it was hard to
Real
develop
rough.
for, man.
It was.
That processor
That
just
cell
made
processor.
it. Yeah, I mean, as amazing as it is, now, it was a bitch to develop for.
You want to talk about a company that was out of touch? That like when Sony launched that PS3.
Well, part of that was though too is they were at the top of the world.
Yeah, I think I think that was a problem. I think they thought,
Yeah.
oh, PS2 was a hit.
PS2
we
did
could do
so well. Yeah.
We could do whatever, and people
Yeah.
buy it. I mean, you heard that quote where they were like, "You will get a second job to buy this."
Are you listening?
Like they said
Nintendo?
that.
Which, don't get me wrong, for the money, the PS3 was an amazing investment, and it shows how strong that foundation was. That hardware was that flawed at the beginning, and yet at the end of it, it sold just as well as the 360. Which
Well, that's because
in
in 2009 the Slim came out and just
it killed it.
they really changed their view. Like they
Well-
really did, and they just kind of reshaped and redid their whole.
Yeah,
outlook.
it didn't take them 2 console generations
Right.
to get it. Like
Well, a
some
lot
other
of
company.
you can tell at that point somebody lost a job.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, Kaz, I think we haven't seen him around and since then.
Yeah.
Like, so.
yeah, and maybe that was the thing. But I know a lot of people. They're like, man, I bought my first PS3 in 08, 09. You know, around the time of Slim launched.
That's when I got mine, dude. Have either of you seen that original E3 of that conference with the PS3 and how bad it was?
No, I haven't. I
Like-
mean, I remember
Like
again.
Ridge Racer. You don't know that?
I have to go back. It's been a
No,
long
I
time,
don't.
dude.
Giant enemy crabs. None of that ringing a bell.
Giant
No.
enemy crabs?
Dude, you guys have to see this shit.
Oh my.
If you're listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up like Sony's. I want to say it was 2006, probably E3 for that year. Their conference or like the best
right
moments.
before the 6 months before the PS.
I want to say
it,
it was around then. I believe some of the funniest shit, man.
I'm watching it right after this.
It's so good. I want to like describe a part of it, but it just wouldn't.
Just
do
watch it.
justice.
Let's just
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree though, man. I think that this could be the first time for next gen that something like that comes out that it's a huge like thing and it's not an HD remake.
I think it's gonna be big.
Man, it almost feels like it's whole PlayStation experience type event.
Right.
Like Bethesda, I mean, they got people like hanging off the edge.
Freaking out already.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's not until June.
Yeah.
yeah,
know
they just
what,
announced,
guys?
oh yeah, we're gonna do our own panel, and it's like,
We're 4 months away.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
That's crazy. We are 4 months away from E3.
I'm excited.
Time
That's
flies.
another thing. Going back to Colin and Greg, they spoke a little bit about PlayStation experience
Mm-hmm.
and how when they were doing that panel, like they had the biggest panel there, and Greg got choked up at the end and kind of gave a little monologue thing, and like they knew that was their last live Beyond, but they couldn't tell anyone.
Dude, don't say that. You made me cry.
And I was wondering, like I was watching, I'm like, man, Greg's getting really choked up, and like that was kind of his way of saying goodbye in that personal setting, and like
yeah,
the fact that they knew and they could not tell anyone,
That sucks, man.
and I've just been thinking about like PlayStation experience will never ever live up to that first one. Like there was just a level of
Well, but I'm sure they'll probably come back with Kind of Funny.
right. I mean, yeah, but
It won't have the budget, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
still.
but I mean, just that first that initial that atmosphere.
Well,
I
a
don't know if
launch
how-
of a new thing was just
Yeah,
incredible.
I don't know how closely you guys followed it, but it was
great.
apparently unreal.
Yeah.
And that's something I wish I
watched
could have
all of
gone
it.
to, man. I really do. I would love to
Yeah.
have gone to that.
Yeah, and I would see. I've never been to any type of con, anything, and I would
I've been,
love to go
I've
to
been
like
to a
PAX
con or
South.
two, and I mean, I haven't been to the right ones. Honestly, Oklahoma sucks for cons. If
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
I had a coworker that went to the Tulsa one, and I mean, she loved it. But I
Yeah.
mean,
I
it's
mean,
like
if you're gonna go to
compared-
one, Tulsa or OKC.
Yeah,
is
that's
definitely-
where
Yeah.
like Kelsey went to Tokyo and Tulsa here a while back, and she had a blast. You know, she really enjoyed it. But again, I couldn't go. I had to work.
Yeah,
Shocker.
that's it for the news.
We're
There
done.
goes the news, folks.
Now let's get into just a little general segment of kind of discussing what we've been playing recently. I'm gonna start with you, Kyle. Put
What
you on
have
the
I
spot.
been playing lately? Oh, I will say what I've been playing lately. I just thought of this. I have finally picked up the reins on Persona Q. Shock, I'm talking Persona. Weird. But I've been enjoying it. I'm about 10, 12 hours in. I finally reached a point where it's kind of starting to spearhead and get to a point where it's
Getting good.
Yeah, it's getting good. It's not just like, oh, well, it's not all set up at this point, and I'm enjoying it. And then I've also started playing Conception 2 for the Vita.
I heard you have babies in that one,
Yeah, you do.
and you fight with them.
That
And
game makes me uncomfortable.
I'll be straight with you. I've got 3 or 4 hours in it, and it is trying to be Persona very hard. In fact, the dude that voices Teddy voices the main character, and the chick that's like your main chick sounds
Are you
just like
serious?
yeah.
I
Teddy.
didn't know that.
That is totally. I could recognize that voice, and I was like, "Who is that?" And
So you looked it up?
I looked it up, dude. Confirmed, it's Teddy.
Confirmed.
And then the
I-
chick
I-
sounded so much like Laura Bailey. that I looked. It was not Laura Bailey, but that chick was trying so hard to be Laura Bailey's Rise. Sounded almost just like her.
I've heard that it's a really, really like they're trying really hard to be Persona.
Yeah, it's
like a social linkish kind of thing with the girls in the game.
And dude, not only that, it's like, oh, let's just pump up the sex appeal and try and I'm not really digging it a whole lot. It's kind of the same thing as Mind Zero on Vita.
Right.
I will say though, Mind Zero was much more just straight up, blatantly obvious. Like they even got like the chick that follows you with the exact same actress as Chie and sounds just like Chie. Like it was atrocious. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be playing Conception 2.
Dude, you almost got to think that like these voice actors who did the Persona series, they're like, oh, you want me to do the knockoff now?
Right.
I mean,
dude, Money in the Bank.
I hate to demean someone else's hard work, because Access and those people put in a lot of time on.
I'm sorry, give me Atlas over Access any day of the week, though.
Yeah, for RPGs. I mean,
yeah. What was that look for, Virgil?
Man, fuck that game.
Sorry, dude.
Atlas, thank you for Persona.
Yes,
for sure. Kyle, thank you. For introducing us to it. I mean, it's
an amazing game.
It really is. Final Fantasy and Square, we talked about it last week. They're waning. Hopefully they'll come back to form. But
shout out to Big John for introducing basically all of us to Persona.
Oh yeah, for sure. Big John. Yeah. Thank you.
Big John. Here's the thing. Again, I mentioned the Colin and Greg thing. Like, I had watched Greg Miller's review. And I really wanted to play Persona 4 Golden, and I'd read it and everything, and because I was interested in it because it was scoring so high, and so I was waiting for it to come in the store so I could pick it up, and everything. But then Big John was coming in, he was like, "Dude, yeah." And here's the crazy thing: I had owned Persona 3 and 4 on PS2 for years, and I could kick myself in the teeth for how long I've let those games sit on my shelf and never got around to playing them. But he was the one that really, especially Persona 3, he was like, "Dude, you've got to play it," And it's so cool when you have friends like that with that game because there's so much going on. You can get together and, oh, hey, did you get this part? Did you get that part? And you learn so much about it. But that brings me back to like the Fallout, Elder Scrolls thing. That's definitely an appeal for that game where those games are so huge that it's like, man, you can do just about anything. You can go about it any way you want with your friends, and you can sit around and have a conversation, and you went about it a completely different way.
Yeah, Persona 4 Golden is it's an 80-hour campaign. Oh, yeah,
at least, at least.
Yeah, for sure. And in my experience with it can be totally different from yours.
Right.
Depending on how you do the social links. And, excuse me.
We've gotten off on a wild tangent.
We got back to Persona.
Right.
That shows
Sorry,
you how
guys.
big of a fan we are of that series.
But,
if you haven't played Persona, if you even remotely like RPGs, you owe it to yourself.
Especially traditional turn-based RPGs. It's great. But what have you been playing, JC?
I have been playing a little bit of Smash.
Ooh.
Super Smash Brothers
Taking
for
it up.
Wii U, technically.
That game.
That game is so deep.
It is.
It's. I mean, not to do anything to the Melee crowd because the Melee crowd is a passionate, awesome fan base. I love you guys for supporting that game for so long. That's awesome. Smash 4 is a very awesome blend of Melee mixed in with more of what Nintendo intended for Smash was to be more of a party type game. I'm not saying Smash 4 doesn't have any competitive value because it does.
It does, yeah.
For sure. I mean, especially with the Omega modes, like
Omega.
That's the only way I will play that game, and I think that's me personally, that's my favorite feature of the new one.
Yeah. I mean, even though Sakurai, the developer, the godfather of Smash, he's gone on record to say that he just does not like Melee. And Brawl was the answer to that, and we all know how Brawl
was
went.
trash.
So Smash 4 comes out.
I liked Brawl. You know what?
Brawl was okay at best.
It just had the problem with Meta Knight being really broken.
Dude, Meta Knight was awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
broken.
Yeah.
Also, I went from the 64 to the Wii, so
right.
Didn't
so
play
you missed
Melee.
That.
Why would I play Melee when I have Die Hard Vendetta? I mean,
see, that's the
story
thing
behind that, by the way. I'm gonna give you all a little story real quick.
About John McClane?
About that John McClane. Little Virgil Davis was a little fat ass, and his grandma didn't like it very much. And little Virgil, he played his 64 all the time, and didn't work. It, didn't get exercise, so that's why he was fat. And I wanted a GameCube really bad because it was like 2004 or 5 or something.
Oh
and,
boy.
Hashtag Team Fat.
Hashtag Team Fat. Clearly, the 64 was not the pinnacle of technology as it once was. If it ever really was.
Yeah, you're almost 2 generations behind at that point.
Yeah. So, and maybe this was more 2002, 2003, whichever.
Close enough.
I really wanted a GameCube. I remember going into Walmart and seeing Pokefloats on the display. And seeing Melee blew my little fucking mind because all I knew was a 64, and I did not know the GameCube existed until I saw that, and I just knew that I wanted it, and I had to have it. And my grandma said, "Well, Sonny, you lose 15 pounds and you can." And my fat ass wasn't losing 15 pounds, so I never got a GameCube through her. But my not even my good friend at the time, my friend Cody Baggerly, aka the Bags, he came to the store a few times. He sold me a GameCube at school, like on the black market for $20.
$20.
$20, yeah. And he got it for like $3, so he actually ripped me off. Well, I mean,
anybody to do that to their friends is just a straight up jerk.
What an asshole!
Yeah, that's why he's not a good friend.
I mean, for $20, I was happy, and it came with one game, Die Hard Vendetta. And when I got home,
bundled in,
that Die Hard Vendetta bundle was a great one. And when I got home, my grandma found it, and of course she was like, "How'd you get this GameCube?"
Internet.
I was like, "Oh, my friend gave it to me," and she was pissed because she wasn't fucking dumb. She knew no one gave me a GameCube.
She didn't know you lost 15 pounds. She knew you didn't.
Oh yeah, and she knew I did. Yeah, because if I did, I would go through her because I was just a little kid,
Gotcha.
And so she didn't take it away from me, and she didn't make me sell it or anything. But I never got to get another game.
She got you.
And so I'm not kidding. Like, all I played on my GameCube was Die Hard Vendetta. That's all I had, and I played it over and over and over.
You poor child.
I remember that game was the first time I got that like goosebumps from a game. Stay with me for a minute.
All right.
Oh boy.
I live in Little 08, Oklahoma, small town. And so when I was younger, I had like this fantasy of like going to a city and like the city life. And so I remember being on
With a vengeance?
on one of the higher floors in the skyscraper. I was killing people, and I remember just turning my camera to the window and just looking out and seeing the city and just kind of staring for a little bit and getting this like feeling of awe.
Wish I could be.
You are the cutest kid ever.
I'm not like I love that game, and I stand by the fact that game is good, at least good.
I love that.
I'm not like
For some reason, I just love that. I want to play Die Hard Vendetta now.
It's good.
Dude,
it's really good.
We had a copy come in the store, and it ended up not working.
Oh,
I bought that
bummer.
copy.
Right?
I bought that copy, and I saw it, and I'm like, that's a little scratch, but it's Die Hard Vendetta.
I'm gonna buy you.
And I gave him,
a sealed mitten box.
Dude, I need to get that. I still we're playing that sometime.
We are for the channel.
Also, my GameCube story.
Yeah,
hang on.
yeah.
Whoa. We'll go back to this. What have you been playing?
Oh yeah,
recently,
right.
Virgil? Sorry,
Anyway,
guys,
yeah, sorry
ADD
for my.
sucks.
Yeah,
Dude, I love
sorry for that.
that.
Yeah.
Dude, I still do that, by the way. There's just something about it. You want to talk about one of kind of going off again. Grand Theft Auto 5, man.
I own it. Haven't played it.
Compared to
off.
Die Hard Vendetta.
Play it.
You just like to shoot people.
Dude, no, I did the same thing. It was kind of like one of those things. I would drive up. It's always at night. I don't know if I said before, but it was at night. So I saw like the cityscape at night, the lights and everything.
Yeah.
And I would drive up.
You're like a bug. You're just attracted to those lights. You just go right to them.
In Grand Theft Auto 5, I would drive. You know how you could drive into like. Did you play it, JC?
Yeah.
Ever? You know how you could drive up kind of like the mountains and see kind of the city.
Yeah.
I would drive on top of the mountain and get out of my car with Bob Seger playing on the radio.
Oh God, I hate Bob
Hollywood
Seger.
Nights, classic.
Oh God.
And I would just look out into the city, and you could like see the cars driving. And I don't know what it is, but ever since Die Hard, I like that feeling of like, that's a city. That's a city with like real people in it.
That is so
I don't know.
fucking awesome.
I don't know what it is,
I
but
wish I could take in the, appreciate the little things. Like
it's
you
just
do
a
in
thing.
video games.
I don't
Like,
know.
Oh man, I envy you so bad.
But anyway, what I've been playing, I started Danganronpa 2, which I think I talked about last week maybe. Dang it. And I haven't gotten back to it because I've been playing a little game called Persona 4 Golden.
Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you not.
Maybe you've heard of it. I'm still in the first dungeon. I haven't gotten super far in it, super turbo far, but I'm enjoying it a lot.
So good.
The music specifically is what has stuck out to me so far.
Yeah.
The first song I heard in that game, and by the way, I could not for the life of me find it on the internet. So the one that I told you that I really gushed about. Right. So I started a new game and skipped everything up to that point to make sure that I hadn't found it, and I hadn't. So I do need to find that song that I like so much. It's the first song you hear when you go and you're at the gas station, and then after that you can walk around freely a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It's that song, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And it just immediately stuck with me. But I've been playing that. Been playing some Freedom Wars. Really, a whole lot of Vita.
Yeah.
A whole lot of Vita.
Same here.
Little 3DS now and then. I'm trying to go through Omega Ruby, but my save got corrupted twice, so I really just that kind of maybe not want to play that game. Trying to think on PS3, I'm not playing anything. On PS4, I have not played anything on PS4 in what feels like forever. Like as far as regularly playing something on PS4, it's really just all Vita right now, and I am not complaining at all because it's amazing.
Yep, I agree completely.
But
back to what we were talking about earlier, my GameCube memory, which is fantastic. I was an original Xbox kid, and if I had a DeLorean, that'd be a mistake I would fix. I would go back and get a PS2. But about a year or two after that, let's see, that I got an original Xbox at launch. A few years later, I was about 12 or 13, so it was about 02, 03. And I used to go around to the secondhand sports in Ardmore, which oddly enough is where I ended up working, and go there and visit with Jeff and see what he had. And then I'd go around and visit. There was 2 or 3 pawn shops. And we went down to C Street Exchange in Ardmore, and he had a black GameCube. And he wanted like $110, $120 for it, something like that. My mom was with me. My mom is a fantastic wheeler dealer. I mean, she's great. And I needed a memory card, of course, and I needed a game. By the time it was all said and done, we walked out of there for a $100 bill, and we got a GameCube, a 256 block memory card, which is a black one, which I had to have because it matched the color of the system, of CD for Life, and a copy of Luigi's Mansion. Oh, and I had my cousin over who... He was like a brother to me, and still is. And every break back then, he would come down and stay the night, or I would go and stay with him. Dude, he was down visiting, and I plugged up the GameCube, and I just ignored him because Luigi's Mansion was so bad. And I feel awful for admitting that. But dude, I remember like Luigi's Mansion was just like, I played that, and that was the moment I think that it hit me that I was like, I bought the wrong console. Like it hit me. And don't get me wrong, Halo was amazing. Fusion Frenzy was great. Blinks the Cat, whatever. Bloodwake, whatever. Brute Force sucked.
But if you want to compare them, man, GameCube was really underrated.
I think it'll go down as one of the most underrated consoles of all time. But anyways,
I still think that go ahead. I still think that system from that generation, by like far and large, has the best looking games of that generation.
It's by far the easiest of those 3 consoles to go back and play without question.
Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime, those games still look amazing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I'm going to back up a little bit more.
Back it up.
I had a cousin who back in the day, sadly enough, lost her father, but ran across some money because of that. He had like life insurance plan or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, this was in 99. So she went and bought a Nintendo 64, bought all kinds of games for it. So I remember going over to her house, and dude, every time, like, I can't tell you how many times I would go over to my cousin's house, and she would be like, you want to go to Walmart? And I was like, man, we're going to go to Walmart. She's going to get a couple new games. I'm going to play it. And I remember coming into her house one time, and I would always go through, and I was a very nosy little kid. In fact, my best friend of 12, 15 years, he'll tell me, like, the first couple of times I went over to his house, I would, like, dig through his closet to see, like, what he had. I just love seeing what people have, like knickknacks and stuff. But anyways, I was digging through her games, and I saw one, and I popped it in, and I turned it on, and I was shocked from that moment forward, and it was Super Smash Brothers. And she hadn't even played it. Like, it was still in the box. Like, I opened it and everything.
Box.
Popped it in, and started playing it, and I was just, like, blown away. And, of course, you get the first, like, a new challenger's approaching, and I'm like, whoa. what? And it was Jigglypuff, right? She was first. I'm pretty
I know
sure.
she was first in 64, so that would
Yeah,
make
yeah. I'm
sense.
talking about 64 at this point.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about 64. Yeah,
Oh,
this was circa 1999, 2000.
Gotcha,
It was
gotcha.
right when Smash Brothers launched.
Oh, okay.
And-
Yeah.
and I played it.
Jigglypuff was first for sure.
And then Luigi, I
Yeah,
believe.
I want to say.
But anyways, dude, and I can't tell you how many hours I spent on Target Smash. I loved it. I thought it was so cool.
Dude,
was
Target
good
Smash
in
and
64.
don't tell me. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Or pardon me.
Board the platform.
Break the targets.
Yeah, break the
I don't know
targets.
why I said that.
And board the platform.
Yeah, those it was great.
They were, yeah.
You know,
they were
so
awesome.
so anyways, let me fast forward to where I was before when I got that GameCube and I found out there was a Super Smash Brothers. And again, keep in mind 2002, 2003, so Melee was still pretty fresh. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I went into secondhand when they were still over in the Tiffany Plaza, the first spot, and went and saw Jeff and he had a copy and I got it for like $30. And I remember just getting it home, slapping it in, and keep in mind too, I did everything you could do in Smash 64 over at my cousin's house. Like I went crazy over it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I somehow procured a copy of it. I don't remember, maybe she might have gave me hers or I don't remember. Anyways, I had a copy that I had beaten either at my house or at her house. And I picked up Melee and played through classic mode. It was just how I remembered it on 64, but better. And then I saw adventure mode, and I was like, man, what is this? Popped it up, and blew my mind.
I had a friend who really liked adventure mode.
It was great. It was so unique. And then I did event mode. And again, we talked about this during our Game of the Year talk, when I was talking about, I kind of went off on this, tangent about Melee. I have a really big soft spot for Melee. And so when, the Wii came out, and then they were like, hey, here comes a new Smash. And then by the time it came out, I knew every single character. Where in Melee, I didn't know.
Dude,
And I was very disappointed.
To kind of interject right there, something you said earlier really kind of stuck out to me. What a different time that was. Like when you were talking about how when you learned that Melee was a thing.
Yeah.
Like how crazy, because that same thing happened to me. I had no idea there was another Smash Bros. Until I just walked into Walmart and saw that. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like what I have. What is that?
That
That looks amazing. That looks quote unquote real. What is that? I have to have that.
Yeah.
Well,
And now it's like a game comes out and you know
everything about
it. Like the internet has just killed like that kind
Well,
of.
not only that, but internet, game journalism, which is a huge thing. It's hot, part of the reason why we're here doing this,
Yeah.
But I remember picking up Brawl, and I liked it, but I was disappointed in it. Again, the Space Emissary mission or whatever it was called was really cool.
Love Space Emissary.
But even then, still, I was really butthurt because one of my favorite characters got just completely nerfed. Link is tough to play with on Brawl. He really is, especially compared to Melee, because he was. I mean, I'm assuming he's probably one of the top upper tier characters, in Melee, because he has some pretty sweet tech.
What's up, JC? You got something to say?
dude, Nintendo still does that. You don't know when they're gonna release shit. Ever.
No, I will say out of the companies that they're doing a little bit better job of it, but
No,
but what
today,
I'm-
dude, like that's something that Sakurai actually really hated about it. Is like when there was supposed to be some kind of subspace emissary type thing in the new one, that leaked, and he was like, nope, it's not
Yeah.
happening. And what they did instead,
and you can tell though too, like
But that's-
those Smash Brothers trailers and stuff. You can
That's
tell those
exactly-
are the cutscenes from that.
exactly, that's what they did. Is that they released them on their own terms by using the trailers.
That's so close-minded though. That shows
That hurts the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's why not put it in there? Why give us a shitty watered down version of Mario Party?
It's like it's kind of
and Smash Brothers?
pissy. It's like, oh well, if
Yeah.
you saw it, then now no one can have
It
it.
doesn't make sense. Like, and it's the same thing with the Amiibo. The Amiibo fiasco is just awful.
Fiasco.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love it. I'm sorry, I love it.
It is exciting because it does bring out the treasure hunter in you, which is why Borderlands is so great. But it's frustrating at the same time because like the Majora's Mask,
we shouldn't
3DS
have to do
XL.
this to.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to fight tooth and nail for your product that you want to buy. I want to give you money, Nintendo. I would love
Shut
to
up and
give
take my
you-
money.
Pretty much,
Exactly. But you're making it so fucking hard
they are.
to do. And it pisses me off. I'm sorry. I don't
No,
want to go
it's-
off on a
I
monologue
understand.
here on it. I'm just gonna shut up.
Another thing about back in like those days, man, I remember and it's actually, I thought about it a few times, and it's weird. I feel like my generation, because I'm 20, almost 21. You're 24.
5
You just turned 25. That's what it is.
yesterday.
Happy yesterday.
I'm
yeah.
just kidding. It was.
And JC's 29.
29.
29.
Going on 30.
And I feel like my generation
Shut
is a
up.
very nostalgic generation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I feel
You're
weird.
catching up.
I feel weird for being nostalgic, but I remember like a time where all I based what game I bought by was the front of the box and the back of the box.
Yeah. Well, you look at the back of the box nowadays, and it's like, cool guns. This stuff happens. Blah blah
Dude,
blah.
Available
That's
only
how
on
I did it
PS3.
back in the day.
3
You
exclusive
look at-
missions.
I mean, again, I was a Sega kid. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because they had X-Men on the box.
yeah.
I mean, that's how you did it back then. So that's
Yeah, because they
pretty-
totally had that one. What was it? MODOK level where you had to hit reset. To
some shit like that.
That was a
you know.
complete
All I
joke,
knew is
dude.
that Wolverine was on the front and he was lunging
You had
at
to have
you
it.
on the front cover.
Well, that artwork was killer.
It was killer.
Yeah.
And I remember little moments like this it makes me really, 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 really sad to know that I'll never have again. Is just, and maybe you guys can relate, but that feeling of when you're with your mom and you're on your way back from Walmart or wherever, and you just have the game in your hand, and you're just opening it up, and you're reading the manual, and you're
And you're
looking at the
discovering
There was
like-
actual manuals in the box.
exactly, and
Yeah.
you're just like, I can't wait to play this, and you're just studying it. And you're
Yep.
like, man, what is this game about? Yada yada. And that's just not a thing anymore. I'm never gonna experience that with the internet. I mean, not only that, but I'm also an adult now. But like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna experience that again.
Dude.
And no one is really like these days. Kids don't experience that with games.
Yeah, no, it's a completely different way.
I was the envy of the neighborhood when I knew the fatalities to Mortal Kombat 2 because I went to Walmart and I memorized the button code from the strategy guide because that's all you had back then.
Oh, yeah.
For games.
Talk about a market that has probably taken a pretty big hit.
Oh yeah, no, it's
My little fat ass went up to Walmart with a notepad and wrote down all of the fatalities, and I was so scared that a Walmart associate was
gonna
going
be
to
like, "Hey, what
find
are
me
you
and be like, "Hey, you can't do that,"
because they care about little.
So I mean,
little
my
JC.
little pudgy fingers were scribbling as fast as they could. I was like, like Liu Kang's dragon fatality. Like, I had to like, and I knew it
awesome.
all. And then I performed it in game, and all my friends were like,
whoa, bro.
I remember
How did you
vividly
do
the
that?
first time I did it was with Reptile because he was my favorite character, and I ate the person, like like limb from limb, with his little tongue, and they were just like, "Oh, you're so awesome." I was like, "I know."
You're so bad.
You're like, oh, here, let me
I'm
brush my
so
shoulders
bad.
off. I'm little baby JC.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you mentioned it just a minute ago, and it's funny. I've made it obvious, where I work and what I do, and I've been doing it for 10 years now. As
yeah,
you know,
10
that
years.
it's weird how
Oh,
that works. Yeah,
Man.
The
Did
original
you know that?
King Daddy.
yeah.
Did you know he's been doing this for 10 years?
Yeah, you never
Huh?
knew.
Yeah, dude, I know. He's been involved with his business he's been involved with it longer than he's actually been running one.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
Right.
I had
Well,
I like that kind of went.
right.
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, did you know?
Yeah, thank you.
did you know that, Kyle?
For our listeners, Virgil's being a jerk
Facetious.
about that. Facetious.
It's
is
an
the exact
ongoing
word.
joke that Kyle says fairly often that how long he's been doing this. And I just recently found out that it was all a facade and that he's a big phony because he's actually been doing
He's
it
a
for 9
phony.
years. He's a phony. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Established.
Excuse me. I am 3.5 weeks away from it being 10 years.
Well, until then,
you
you're
can
a
give
big
me
phony.
3.5. I'm a big fake phony.
We're gonna spot you 3.5 weeks.
I don't think
Anyways,
so.
it's
That's a little
it's
much.
just
to
again,
spot.
that's been enough time for me to do this through 2 complete console generations, and then like
I
I
can't
said,
even imagine someone like Jeff, man, who's been.
dude, yeah, Jeff's been doing this for he started in 1990.
Is he even a gamer?
He was back in the
That's
day,
what-
and
that's
he's
what I
still kind of
wondered.
he's not like super big on it, but he still stays. He's got his Vita. He actually has a Vita. Go Jeff.
Dude, how old is Jeff?
He is 50. He's 50.
So he pretty much relies on
Dude,
on
that
his,
is
on
awesome.
his
Nope,
staff
pardon me. Jeff is
to
51.
Keep up with
51 and playing his
Yeah,
Vita.
Jeff
That
is
is
51.
badass. I haven't met Jeff. have
He's
I?
awesome.
that. Jeff is.
I need to meet Jeff.
He's a rad dude.
Yeah.
He's very very
Man,
sweet,
again,
man.
I owe my my life to him. I mean, the dude's made me
Yeah.
who I am, and one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my entire life. Man, I mean,
I want to meet him.
There's your plug,
he's
Jeff.
amazing.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But anyways, what I was getting to though too, and this is again, that's why I mentioned the length that I've been doing this for so long, is that when I first hired on Xbox 360, PS3, those weren't a thing, not yet. I hired on in March, so that following November is when the 360 launched, and I was still a whole another year out before PS3 and Wii launched. So I really have a pretty good memory of the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox when they were, again, from a business standpoint, when they were still around. Strategy guides was a big thing for us. I mean, what we would do is we sold them all for $5 a piece used,
That sounds so fun.
Yo, it was awesome,
I miss
dude.
those days.
And here's what's crazy is I have 2 strategy guides, 2 that I took in and I sold, and then a year or 2 later came back to me. And I knew they were mine because one of them was a Kingdom Hearts guide that my best friend cut out some of the characters, and those same characters were cut out. I knew it was the exact same guide. And the other guide was the Nintendo's player's guide for the Zelda Collector's Edition that had Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. And I knew it because in ag class, I was very bored reading through it one day, and I was just sitting there on the front cover because it was kind of like a real like silvery, type thing.
Yeah.
And I'd etched in a really shitty Triforce with my thumbnail into it.
That's
and
awesome, man.
I got those back, and they are still in my possession. But again, like I said, in the 10 years I've been doing this, it is scary how much this business has changed. I mean, don't get me wrong.
And still changing.
Dude,
right?
and I'm telling you right now, this time 2 years ago, before the PS4 and the Xbox One got announced, it was one of the scariest times of my life in this business because it's like we didn't know. Like, man, especially when the Xbox One got announced and they were like, hey, man, it's going to be, no used games, blah, blah, blah. That was terrifying. But then the PS4 came out and was like, you guys suck. Here's how you do your game. I love that commercial. Here's how you play used games on your PS4. Thanks. Like, that's how it should be, And I think that in this day and age of big dollars, because games are getting to that point like blockbuster movies, Games today or where movies were, before they got...
They're more expensive to make than ever.
Yeah, they are.
It's crazy how the budgets of some of these games.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But again,
that's why some of them have to have all this DLC is because... And I think, not to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
The developers of Evolve came out and said, we have to have DLC because the $60...
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It doesn't even come close to covering all the costs of making a game. Especially, and here's another thing. As these consoles get bigger and, more advanced, the budgets
go up,
rise as well because the games are getting bigger.
Yeah. Takes more time.
And that's what's scary to think about is like, as far as the games industry goes, these games are just getting bigger.
Right.
And like, where's it gonna stop? To where there's only so much money you can put into it until it's not profitable anymore.
Yeah. Right, and I think we're getting close to that. I think maybe one more generation jump, and I think it's going to kind of level out. But here's the flip side of that. That is great for me because the bigger those games get, the less likely it is that they'll be streamed. And I think we've already proved with PlayStation Now, game streaming is okay. But even I have a 50 meg internet speed, and still streaming those games isn't quite like having the disc in there. And people love physical media too.
Yeah. Here in the US though, like we're really, ahead in a lot of ways, but internet wise, we are one of the most like behind countries. And wasn't like a new law passed where 50 megabytes was like the minimum?
No. 25.
25?
25 down, 3 megs up is now the standard that you cannot call it broadband unless that's your specs. It was 3 megs down, 1 meg up.
Dude, that is a fucking joke. To like you say that to someone in the UK or something like that, they were like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. Like that is a joke. That's nothing.
Dude, I remember getting like premium, high-speed internet back in 2008 when I moved to Denton. It was Verizon Fios. It was fiber optic internet, and back then, I think it was at least 50 megs down, and I think it was like 10 megs up, and it might have even been 60 and 12, something like that. In 2008, and I was paying the same amount that I'm paying today for 50 down, and I think, what is it, 3 up, 5 up?
Maybe 5. I think maybe 5. It's insane, and I think that is what's holding streaming back more than anything. Yeah. Granted, it will still never quite be the same, but I had like a week free trial, and I booted up some games, and dude, especially like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, it's pretty good. I mean, especially if you have like an Ethernet connection, that's another thing that's important is Ethernet connection. But
well, that's another thing that we're getting better about, which is weird. Why don't these new consoles do 802.11 AC? Why do they only do in?
I don't know.
Because, man, I'm telling you, I have a few devices that use AC, and it's like if you remember that jump from Wi-Fi G to Wi-Fi in, this is just as big of a jump. Like it's fantastic the exchange rate of this new Wi-Fi.
Maybe
standard.
if maybe if they do that, like we were talking about
slim
last
model,
week, like that revision with the 4K video output, maybe they
it
could
has
also
to have. If
for
you're
sure.
talking about trying to stream 4K video through Netflix over Wi-Fi, it's
You're
got
not
to
gonna
be
cut it
got to
on.
be AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about all this digital downloading versus physical media and streaming. And we've touched on Nintendo and their stance with YouTube and everything.
Yep.
Here's something that just sprung up in my dome.
That's connected to your ear holes.
They are connected to the holes of the ears. What I've watched a lot of Let's Plays. I've watched a lot of walkthroughs from part 1 to the end. Well, and everyone talks about today's economy and everything like that. With games getting bigger and bigger, do you think they're going to get more expensive as far as actually having to buy them? Yes, price wise.
I
it's
think they
inevitable.
need to be. I think they have to be.
It's kind of like, Kyle, me and you talked earlier today about how like NES games were still like $50, right? I mean,
they were $40 to $50. Where today they're $50 to $60.
And in the 1980s, early 1990s,
Dude, 40 to 50?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like games are cheaper now than they've ever been.
Yeah.
With inflation and everything.
Yeah, not
and-
only that, an NES was what, $149?
Yeah.
And we talked about
In 85?
rental stores and how you rented the games back then. I know as far as anybody who's around here knows that renting the game now it's not a very good investment.
It's $10
Yeah.
for 5 days. That's $2 a day.
It's kind of wild. Yeah.
Well, and again, to bring back what I was talking about earlier with where I work at my job. For $10, there are a ton of games you can buy for $10, and there are even more games that you can buy and lose way less than $10, and you can buy it and then play it all you want and then bring it back. And even if you sell it for cash, there are a million times you get your what you lose in between is way less than $10. You could have played it for 2-3 weeks.
Right. So streaming now, like I've watched some very good guys who do Let's Plays, and walkthroughs of games. And I feel like I've played the game because of today's economy and blah, 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 blah. I don't ever intend on buying the game that I've been watching, but I'm interested in it, but I can't afford it.
Right.
So I watched the whole walkthrough of it, and I feel like, okay,
See,
I
you're
know
exactly,
about this game now.
That's exactly why Nintendo has their
Their
thing
thing there.
Their thing, yeah.
Is to try and encourage people, hey, don't just sit here and watch it.
And see, that's what's weird is that,
buy it.
like, honestly, I feel like you're the minority there. Like, I can't tell you how many games I've seen a Let's Play of, and I'm like,
I gotta play it.
I gotta, yeah. Like,
I would agree
Colin
with
and
that.
Greg were talking about, like, how many copies of that perverted random Vita game did they sell just by showing it?
Yeah.
It's
free advertising for sure for these publishers. I mean, they need to wake up to that, and
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, though,
with that.
too.
That's the thing. I think most of them are very aware of it.
Yes.
Right.
It's just a few very stubborn,
Well,
controlling.
Here's my
companies.
question. You think about, we have to evolve. Okay, we have to sell DLC in order to make money. Do you think that developers, publishers will eventually reach a point to where they get a bit of the revenue from every click on that to make up for,
Dude,
I don't know, man.
Look
something has to change, or else.
Look
I
at
don't
Resident Evil Revelations 2. You have
That's
Capcom,
a weird thing,
one of the
man.
biggest developer/publishers of video games in history. Resident Evil, one of the biggest franchises in history. That game is episodic.
It's very weird.
What does that tell you? I mean,
Well, see, that's what's weird.
It's going
is
to be a
that
trendsetter. It's Telltale.
How much is it for all
as many
$25?
Tons of people love Telltale. They release their games episodic, and yet they sell like hotcakes. And then
that allows you to go ahead and get it out while you're developing too.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is a smart idea.
Revelations 2 is what, $25 for all of it, or what?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a weird thing, man. I think that I don't know if it'll be a trendsetter, but I think, depending on how that does, I think that we will see just, whether it does set a trend or if it just doesn't do anything.
It's either going
to be great or awful. I think.
This is kind of a weird comparison, but it's kind of like people who wait for TV shows to binge watch on Netflix versus people who watch them live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're supporting the show much more by watching it live.
Of course. Yeah, but those people don't really care about that.
Right.
They're just wanting it because they want to talk about it around the water cooler the next day at work. Versus, I prefer to binge watch them because
some shows
I
just
stay
suffer.
more immersed in them, and commercials kill that's a different story, but commercials kill it for me, when I'm trying to watch like The Walking Dead or something like that.
I think binge watching, though, it's a really interesting thing with Netflix, like how some of these shows were made with the intention of there being a week between, and that's one thing that I wish Netflix changed about like House of Cards and their shows. Like when they release a show,
they release all of it,
all there, and I'm like, Netflix, I do not have the restraint to watch 1 week. I wish there was like some kind of option where you could say, hey, when you guys release a show, I want it to be 1 week. Or,
Right, but the part of it is, too, though, Netflix has become a thing thanks to binge watchers.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So, and I'm the same way, but back to the streaming games thing, it's a lot easier to stream music or movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's, it's a different type of media altogether because you're not physically engaged in it. Where with games, like, could you imagine, like, trying to stream a fighting game?
That will never be a thing.
No, I don't mean you personally as you streaming the game from like PlayStation Now or
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about PlayStation Now. Yeah,
I know what you're saying. I just mean like watching someone else who bought or received a physical copy of a game and they put it on their channel. You know what I mean? So you're watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, we're talking about like the PlayStation Now, and
we're talking about just getting online, picking a title, and playing it immediately, like Netflix, but for games.
It's like the rental service,
right?
I mean, if you want to compare it to a real life rental service, I mean, yeah, it's a great deal.
It's a way better deal.
I mean,
$2.99
versus $10.
Right.
I mean,
but my thing again compared to that is that number one, it's gamers have proven they like physical copies. Why do you think that every developer releases a collector's edition of their thing with a statue that costs $2 to try and get another $10 out of it? Again, that's more ways. I'm all for a developer and a publisher making more money if the game warrants it. Again, Sonic Boom. No, I'm not going to go buy that crap because I know it's crap. If they came out and they actually made a great Sonic game and they were like, hey, look, we need your support, I'm all for it.
What if Sega releases a patch and a DLC that makes Sonic Boom like the best game on its platform?
Luck.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's become the nomenclature of today's gaming.
That's like giving an amputee a Band-Aid and hoping his leg will grow back.
DLC, when it first started, gamers are kind of reluctant to change. If you really think about it.
We're a stubborn group.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we want things to stay the same. I mean, I've gone through it all. I'm 29 years old. I've literally grown up with a Nintendo. Like, I'm not that much older, or I'm not that much younger than Nintendo. I mean, I've been gaming since I was 4 years old. So,
just real quick before we wrap it up, the thing I think about digital, one reason it hasn't kind of launched like it should, and it actually has done really well. There's absolutely no reason a digital game should be $60.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason, and until they change
why is that? You think?
Like, why is it still 60?
Yeah. Why do you think it shouldn't be?
Well, because you don't print the disc, you don't ship the disc, you don't
pay the middleman.
Yeah, there's no middleman. It's directly from Sony or Microsoft to the consumer. And if they cut that cost, you'd make the same amount of money, but you'd sell so many more copies. Imagine if all digital games were just 45 or 50.
Yeah, if you took $20 off and you sell twice as many.
Well, see, that was the thing, again, with how long I've been doing this, back when they started saying, hey, with the PS3 and the 360, hey, guys, digital games are coming. And that, again, back then, we were terrified. And so we were thinking, oh, well, man, they're going to be so much cheaper. That's how they're going to get it. They're going to be cheaper than that because, like you said, there's going to be no middleman. Right. They're going to be able to print those things up real easy.
Don't have to ship it. Don't have to print the disc.
You don't have to fart with it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And yet, digital games, new, they're the same price. And here's the crazy thing: 9 times out of 10, you can find that game cheaper used if there is a physical disc. I mean,
that's what kills it too. And not only you have to print the disc, you have to print the the box, the shipping to wherever, the retailers cut,
you don't
the
have to
shelf
print the manual.
space, the manual. There's so much that goes into it that they could cut that cost and make the same amount of money per unit sold and sell so much more.
Is there some type of census data that shows how many households have internet these days? I'm sure there's some sort of information like that.
Probably.
And I'm sure these game companies look at that stuff.
Yeah, it's that number is probably not good enough, especially in territories like our own.
Exactly. If that percentage gets to a point where there's so many households that have internet, you're going to start seeing that more and more, I think.
Well, and
honestly,
I mean, Resident Evil 2 Revelations, that game, for some reason, that sticks out to me as something that's like, what's going on here? Because it's
weird.
It's a big publisher with a big IP, and
they're doing something different.
They're trying something different with it, and it's interesting to me because
they've got to do something different with Resident Evil, though.
Honestly, I think the biggest part of it is that the GameStops and the EB Games would not be happy.
No.
They would be not happy at all.
Well, what do you think happened with Xbox One initially outside of the entire... I mean, dude, when they announced that, the entire market backlashed.
And with that being where most of their consoles are sold, like...
Hey, man.
I think that is single-handedly the biggest reason why they aren't cheaper.
Power to the players is the
Power
most
to the
loaded
players.
bullshit I've ever heard.
Right.
Screw you, GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop's some hot garbage.
I mean, I really want to be evil to you right now, but
well,
I'm just gonna say
the issue with that, there's not enough competition.
Yeah.
For them directly. If there was another, that was the thing. There was. Now there ain't. They bought them. That's what sucks.
If any of you are listening, come down
for this long
to Ada, Oklahoma. That's where we are. You need to come visit a secondhand store. Go to the one in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I mean,
they're great.
These guys will take care of you.
We'll take care of you. That's
they
our
really
motto.
Will. They'll show you how much of a bullshit company GameStop is. I mean,
well, not to plug my own shop, but our entire game formula has been built around beating GameStop in every way.
It's very easy to do, though. I mean,
they make my job
sucks
incredibly easy.
So bad.
But that's the difference. Like I said before, though, it's the difference between coming in and talking with people who legitimately care, or going into somebody who's just there from 9 to 5 to collect a paycheck. That is a big difference.
I agree. GameStop sucks, pretty much. I mean, I think
garbage.
that's the general consensus. They are hot garbage. But
they're a necessary evil.
They are, and I think something will change. But yeah,
maybe. We'll see how this streaming stuff goes and this digital download stuff goes.
Yeah.
It all depends on how many people get internet.
Anyway, this has been episode 4 of Super Turbocast. I was joined tonight by my good friends Kyle Eastman and Justin Carter. You can follow me at Virgil Cerberus on all the Instagrams and the Twitters and the Facebooks. Not the Facebooks, but you can find me on there anyway. You can follow Kyle Eastman at Kyle_Eastman on Twitter and maybe other things in the future. You can follow JC at New Metal Messiah on Twitter. And you can follow Super Turbo Games at Super Turbo Games. And subscribe to the channel, by the way. We have a lot of content coming, I think. We've got a few unboxings coming as well. By the time you're listening to this, the Majora's Mask 3DS XL, or new 3DS XL, may already be on the channel, as well as a few Vita unboxings, perhaps.
Working on it. And guys, we're also working on getting this up on iTunes. It's
that's
we're a
in
few
progress.
weeks out from that. We're thinking, but we're just waiting for some bureaucracy to come through for us.
And for any, for whatever listeners we do have, please, whether you're on YouTube or even SoundCloud, or if you know us personally, like a lot, like a few people we have right now do know us personally, tell us what would be most convenient for you to get the podcast. Like how would it be most convenient for you? Because we figured iTunes was pretty convenient. SoundCloud was just the most easy thing available, and
right.
Yeah, you could download it without having to have an account. Please give us feedback and let us know which would be best for you. Because for us, it doesn't really matter where we are. It's more about which is easier for you guys to get.
We want to be accessible, and again, throw us a tweet.
Yeah,
you
throw
know,
us a tweet
hit us
at
at
Super
the-
Turbo Games.
Yeah.
Follow us at Super Turbo Games. Follow us, at our own respective Twitters and things. But as far as the channel goes, like I said, we've got some unboxings, probably some Let's Plays coming
Yes.
of us three. Really looking forward to those. I think those will be really fun.
Yes, we're getting ready to expand
Yeah.
everything on this channel. Tell your friends about it. Tell everyone
Yeah.
about it.
I mean, especially,
I mean,
if you're
we
listening.
want to talk to you.
Yeah, I think interaction, and I said earlier how Beyond and Kind of Funny and those two guys are a really huge inspiration to me, and I think something they really get right is the intimacy they have with their viewers and their watchers, and I think that's really important. That's the kind of thing I want to have. I want to be able to talk to you guys and like to people who genuinely enjoy us and our whatever content we might make, and I'm just really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone involved in this show, these guys are my best friends, and
Gathered around this table.
Just like if you've ever watched the final episode of Beyond with Greg Miller, how he said it's a family. Come be part of this.
Yeah.
Because that's we can gush about video games all day long.
Oh
And-
gosh,
and
I could.
And
Yeah.
we want you involved with this. I mean, this is how I met these guys, through video games, through
Yeah.
some form of entertainment. I've met these lifelong friends that I love so dearly, and we can all share it together. It'd be awesome.
Yep. And for the channel, YouTube has a thing where you can't actually make a URL unless you have 500 or more subscribers or 1,000. So just on YouTube, search Super Turbocast or Super Turbo Games. You'll find us on there.
Yep.
It'll be the cool ST logo on there that this one cool guy in the group made. Anyway, until next week, thank you guys so much for listening and just sharing this night with us. It's been a great night.
It's been turbo time for sure.
It has. It has been turbo time for sure.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday the 13th, and watch out for Jason Voorhees.
Until next
you
week.
never know where he's going to be. He's the master of shortcuts.